Hello, grade 9 students. This is our lesson on quadrilaterals, Introduction to Quadrilaterals. In this lesson, we will learn how to identify different kinds of quadrilaterals. So, we have here different features, which are what we call quadrilaterals. It consists of each feature consists of 4 sides. Okay. Let's start with the parallelograms. So these are the different kinds of parallelograms. These are the different kinds of rectangles. These are the different kinds of rhombuses, squares, and also trapezoids. This is isosceles trapezoid in which the legs are congruent. And we have also kites. So all polygons, quadrilaterals, under quadrilaterals we have parallelograms, kites, trapezoids, and under parallelograms we have rectangle, rhombus, and squares. So these are typically what we're going to study. Okay, the parallelograms, rectangle, squares, rhombus, trapezoids, and kites. And under trapezoid we also have isosceles trapezoid. Give the most specific name for the quadrilateral. What do you think is the name for this quadrilateral here in the feature? The answer is a rectangle. Why? Because the diagonals are congruent. Okay? The diagonals are congruent. At the same time, all the angles are 90 degrees, or all the angles are right angles. That's what we call rectangle. How about this? Give the most specific name for this quadrilateral. It is what we call isosceles trapezoid. Just as you can see, the base angles are congruent, therefore the legs also are congruent. If the legs are congruent, it's what we call isosceles trapezoid. One pair of opposite sides parallel, base angles are congruent. How about this? It is a square because the diagonals are congruent, and at the same time the diagonals are perpendicular. How about this? It is a parallelogram, both pairs of opposite sides are parallel. And about this, it is a kite, consecutive sides are congruent. Tell whether enough information is given in the diagram to classify the quadrilateral by the indicated name. Explain. Is this a parallelogram, class? Yes, opposite sides are congruent. Is this a kite? No? Don't know about the other sides. Dapat congruent din doon. Hindi niya sinabi na congruent. Only that first consecutive sides, first pair of consecutive sides are congruent. So we do not know if these two sides are congruent. So that's not a kite. Is this a trapezoid? No? Don't know. One pair of opposite sides are parallel. Yes, this is sinabi ng parallel yung upper base and lower base. So a circle which shapes have the following properties. Both pairs of opposite sides are parallel. Okay, parallelogram. Yes, both sides are parallel. Both pairs of opposite sides are parallel. Dalawang pair yun. So, parallelogram. Hindi pwede ang trapezoid. Only one pair lang. Rhombus also. Rectangle also. And square. Both pairs of opposite sides are congruent. Parallelogram. Opposite sides are congruent. Rhombus. Opposite sides are congruent. Rectangle. Opposite sides are congruent. And square. Opposite sides are congruent. Both pairs of opposite angles are congruent. Parallelogram again. Rhombus, rectangle, square. Ayan. Parating apat na yan. Exactly one pair of opposite sides are parallel. Trapezoid. Yes. Only the upper base and the lower base are parallel. There's only one pair. Also, isosceles trapezoid. Kasi type of trapezoid yan. One pair of opposite sides parallel. Exactly one pair of opposite sides are congruent. Isosceles trapezoid, which are the legs. The legs yung kanyang equal. Exactly one pair of opposite angles are congruent. Kahit naman, yun ang opposite angles ito. Opposite angles are congruent. There is only one kite. Diagonals are congruent. Rectangle, square. Pero sa parallelogram and rhombus, the diagonals are not congruent. Also with the isosceles trapezoid, including diagonals are perpendicular. Rhombus, correct. Mag-form ng 90 degrees ang diagonals ng rhombus. Also with square. Perpendicular ang diagonals niya. Dalawa lang. And surprisingly, the kite. Pero it's a fact, no? Kite, the diagonals are congruent, either perpendicular also. So put an X in the box of the shape that always has a given property. Number 1, all sides are congruent. Rhombus, square. Next, both pairs of opposite sides are congruent. Parallelogram, rectangle, rhombus, square. Both pairs of opposite sides are parallel. Parallelogram, rectangle, rhombus, square. Exactly one pair of opposite sides are parallel. Trapezoid. All angles are congruent. Rectangle, square. Exactly one pair of opposite angles are congruent. Kite. Diagonals are perpendicular. Rhombus and square. Diagonals are congruent. Also kite. Yung diagonals are perpendicular. Diagonals are congruent, rectangle, and square. Diagonals bisect each other, parallelogram, rectangle, rhombus, square. So for our vocabulary, the relationships among the special quadrilaterals. 3 kinds of quadrilateral: the kite, parallelogram, trapezoid. Under parallelogram, rhombus, rectangle, and square. Under trapezoid, isosceles trapezoid. Each shape in the diagram has the properties of the shapes linked above it. For example, a rhombus has the properties of a parallelogram and a quadrilateral. So for your assignment, answer this. You can screenshot this part. Yeah. Also, tell whether enough information is given in the diagram to classify the quadrilateral by indicated name. Is that a rhombus? I think so, kasi perpendicular yung kanyang diagonals. Answer, no. Could be a kite also, no. So kulang. Dapat sinabi niya all sides are congruent. Okay, so kulang. So the answer is no. Could be a kite. So that ends our review on quadrilaterals. Goodbye.